Okay, what you're seeing on the screen right now, I think everybody's familiar with this when you head to the gas station to fill up your car. It's hitting everybody's wallets and we're all feeling the pain. And we all know who caused this as well. And even if you don't drive, everything is starting to get more expensive. But in this video, I kind of want to zoom out a little bit because we've been watching our own fight with America. But with the conflict in the Middle East, the rest of the world is starting to feel it as well. And some countries do depend on the oil from the Strait of Hormuz. And they're not struggling, they're actually running out. So I'm going to talk about a few countries around the world and what changes they've had to make because of the orange guy. They had nothing to do with it, but now they're still paying the high price. And to anyone who thinks the vote in 2024 only affected the United States, well, my video is going to prove that's not the case. And the biggest thing that pisses me off, Canada and the rest of the world, we had absolutely no say in what's going on in the United States, yet we are the ones that have to suffer as well. So I'm going to go through a few articles that's going to explain how the rest of the world is actually, handling this bullshit right now. So just to recap why we're in this situation, or in case you live under a rock or something, the US and Israel's war on Iran shut down the most critical corridor on the planet, the Strait of Hormuz. And you can guarantee the orange guy didn't even think about this. But with the Strait of Hormuz shut down, I think it's about 20 million barrels a day that pass through it that are not going to their destinations. And 20% of all global LNG traded uses this route. And if there's no oil going out, then prices are going to go up. That's why we're seeing high gas prices everywhere. But the first country I want to talk about is the Philippines. And they depend on the Gulf for 90% of its oil. And just recently, their president, Marcos Jr., used emergency powers to suspend the fuel exercise tax. But not only that, the government is on a 4-day work week. And there's now a mandate that the country save fuel as well as electricity. But how is this affecting everyday citizens in the Philippines? Well, let me tell you. And let me read this part out. The price increases are already causing misery for many. Elmer Carrasco, 58, who drives a jeepney vehicle that makes the backbone of the country transport system, said his income has fallen dramatically by more than half since the war. Before, I spent 700 pesos, 8.8 pounds, on diesel and it took home around 1,000 pesos per day. Now I only earn 400 pesos. It's not even enough for food, he said. Carrasco, who has plied the roads of Mandaluyong City in the capital region for 35 years. How far can 400 go? Rice alone is 65 per kilogram. But the Philippines isn't the only country that's suffering right now in Southeast Asia. Thailand, according to this article, they consume 124 million liters of refined oil per day, and it's mostly imported from the Middle East. Their cabinet has also mandated a full work from home for all non-essential government workers. And officials are ordered to wear short-sleeve shirts, no ties, to reduce the aircon use. News anchors dish their jackets on live TV. Government offices must keep the AC at 26 to 27 degrees. Diesel subsidies costing Thailand 1 billion baht, 200 million pounds per day. Petrol stations seeing panic buying, out-of-stock signs everywhere. A major temple in northeastern Thailand canceled cremation services because the gas stations wouldn't let them fill their jerry cans. What I just read out is point-form notes from the Guardian article, so if you do want to read it on your own, I'll leave a link in the description below. But I thought it would be easier for me just to go point-form instead of reading out the whole thing for you. But not only the Philippines and Thailand are having issues, Vietnam is as well. And they've actually just recently asked Japan and South Korea for help when it comes to oil. And Indonesia is also feeling the crunch as well. They're now accelerating a biodiesel program that blends 50% palm oil-based biodiesel with 50% conventional diesel. I don't know what that means. If anyone knows what this means, please let me know in the comments. I'm actually really curious to see how this helps. But moving on to Sri Lanka, this is a screenshot from a times.com article. I'll include this one in the description as well. But I have some point-form notes on what Sri Lanka is actually doing. First one, they declared every Wednesday a national public holiday to save fuel, and this applies to schools, universities, and most workers. Fuel rationings, citizens limited to 15 liters of petrol or diesel per week. Public transport gets up to 200 liters. And their president says, we must prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. Bangladesh. Half of Bangladesh is electricity gas powered. A third of that gas is imported. Fuel rationing is implemented on March 6th. University campuses shut down early for Ramadan holidays. Rolling blackouts are also imposed. You can kind of see what the pattern is here when it comes to Southeast Asia and South Asia. Now moving on to the Middle East region in Egypt. Starting March 28th, malls, restaurants, and retailers must close at 9 p.m. on weekdays. Illuminated billboards being turned off, public lighting reduced, government buildings closed at 6 p.m. Work from home mandate is being considered for 1 to 2 days per week. And the PM, Mustafa Madbouli? Oh man, I'm really bad with names. We need to begin to ration the amount of fuel and electricity we're using. Moving on to Kenya and Africa. Kenya normally holds about 21 days of fuel reserves, one of the lowest buffers in the world. The country's biggest fuel suppliers are already rationing products. Rural areas are running out of fuel supplies entirely. Now, I want to pause here for a little bit and do a little bit of a GTL rant. Because what I just read out to you is really happening around the world. And one thing that really bothers me, I don't think it's anybody that's watching my video right now. But what really bothers me are those Canadians that are saying that, Canada is crap and we live in a crap hole and it's going down the drain. One thing they don't realize is that all these other countries that I just read out are in way worse condition than what we have in Canada. If you follow my channel, you would have heard that in the past that yes, I did have a previous stint away from Canada before living in Malaysia. This is actually before COVID. But one thing I did learn from that stint away is how good we actually do have it in Canada. Because when you experience a country where they're borderline, developing third world nation, it really humbles you. I don't complain about traffic anymore. I don't complain about infrastructure in Canada. And I don't complain about the healthcare or any other government issues that we're having right now. Why? Because I've experienced a lot worse. I've experienced corruption in the government as well as their medical system. And I've also witnessed being surrounded by poverty. You might not know this, but I used to complain about Canada all the time. I hated the traffic, I hated the government, I hated everything about Vancouver, it sounds really stupid now that I say it. But every country that I just listed out are in a state where they may not be as prepared as Canada is, or not even just Canada, but any Western country. But the energy crisis that we're going through right now really highlights which countries are prepared and which ones are not. And for me, I'm grateful I do hold a Canadian passport. And if you're wondering where the co-host is, this is where she is. She's taking a nap on my desk. Okay, that's all from my rant. Let me get back to the other countries and regions. Now, I mentioned earlier that the Western countries might be a little bit more prepared, but it doesn't mean that we can let our guard down. And in the European Union, many of the reserves are now under 30%, lowest since 2022. But thankfully, only 6% of Europe's LNG passes through the Strait of Hormuz. So it looks like they've diversified. Now, in the UK, the energy minister claims that the UK has very strong energy supplies from a diverse range of sources. But like everywhere else in the world, the gas prices are still going up. And last, we have the country that started it all. And I'm going to read this one out for you. For American drivers, gas prices have climbed nearly 30% since the start of the war. On Wednesday, the average national price of gas in the US rose from $3.84 a gallon, up from $2.92 a month ago, according to AAA. The price of a gallon of diesel has shot up by more than $5, the highest since the late 2022. Energy Secretary Chris Wright has warned that there is no guarantee that oil prices will fall in the coming weeks, despite President Orange Idiot's commitment to the United States will try to force Iran to stop attacks on oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. The administration said it will continue the attacks until Iran surrenders unconditionally. Whatever the time is, it's okay, whatever it takes, said the Orange Idiot at the beginning of March when estimated how long the war would go on. So after seeing these comments from the United States president and seeing all these countries around the world who are suffering because the orange guy decided to attack the Middle East, do we have a right to be pissed off? I sure as hell think we do. Because none of these countries that I just read out, Vietnam, Philippines, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, the European Union, Bangladesh, Egypt, Kenya, and the United Kingdom, and last but not least, Canada, none of us voted for this. None of us had a say in this. And yet, our house still gets burned down. It's like the United States decided to burn their own house down. But instead of putting water on it, what they did is they burned down the rest of the neighborhood as well. So I fully believe that we have a right to be pissed off as well. Now, some Democrats that have been emailing me, the ones that say that we don't have a right to be pissed off because we're not living within the borders, we're not living through the pain. Well, I hate to say it, we are living through the pain as well. In this video, I just showed a handful of countries and what pain they're suffering because of your president. So yeah, I think the world has every right to be pissed off right now. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me on this. Now, before I end this video, I know some of you might be wondering how are things in Malaysia right now? So far, I don't notice any difference to be honest, but then again, I don't drive and I don't fill up on gas. But I just found out that the Malaysia government is increasing the gas production and keeping the price at 199 ringgit, which that turns out to be about 65 cents, I think, or 66 cents. Let me clarify, about 66 cents Canadian. But other things like groceries or things that need to be shipped in, they're starting to rise like everywhere else in the world. Okay, that's all I got for this video. I hope this video helped to update everybody on what's happening around the world. Because as gas prices are rising in Canada, other countries around the world are having it a lot worse off than we are. If you found any value or agree with anything I said in this video, or you want to hear more from a Canadian and international perspective without the US media bias, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button below. That way you're notified of my future videos. And if you want to watch more of my videos, check out the ones that are going to show up on your screen shortly. Thanks everyone. I'll catch you in the next one.